Salud, mi gente, your boys coming through once again. And on today's video, we're going to talk about Hector Bravo and Vice. That interview that, honestly, whoever did all that stuff did a great job. A great job. The Whistleblower. A lot better. What a title, man. But all bullshit aside, man, go go check that thing out, man. I do recommend it. Honestly, there's things that I might not agree with Hector Bravo. There's things that I do agree with him. But when it came to this interview, I think he talked about the stuff that I have said before, the corruption within CDCR, but not only that, it starts from the bottom as well, right? There's going to be people who want to keep those guys above happy, who are willing to cover stuff up. It goes from the bottom, it goes to the top. That's what I've been saying. Now, the thing about me and Hector Bravo is like we went into the system around the same time. I went in 2007. That's when I caught the buzz, and I got out in 2021, at the end of 2021, right? Like October 2021, and I got to experience all of that stuff. So everything he's talking about, I experienced the integration. I was there. I was there when people were not trying to get mixed together, and I had that feeling, man. Like, man, they're doing this wrong. I had that feeling because I knew that was wrong, 100%, man. But there's one thing that Hector Bravo was saying, and this is truth, man. Honestly, and I do agree with that. If they would give hope to the inmates around when I went into prison, right? I think a lot of things would have changed. All that integration, man, knock that thing off, man. That it's not gonna work, man. It's not gonna work, man. You just forcing the hands of a lot of people. But if they would have started in those early years, man, with programs, because around that time, '07, 08, 2008, 2007, they changed CDC to the R, right? CDCR rehabilitative now, but they were not giving programs, right? So why you even put an R right there? It seemed like it was just for looks. They didn't put. I mean, I didn't never experience no self help group programs until like 2013, man. Not even no. Well, I heard of 2013, but that was out of state. But in California, 2017, that's when I experienced self help group programs. That's some crazy ass stuff. And they had that R in CDCR for the longest, man, since I went into the system. If they would have at least give those programs and go full with them, NAAA, CGA, GOGI, whatever was needed to help that inmate who actually wanted to get change. I think the course of prison would have took a different route. You know, if they would give hope back in those days, man, when people were getting years, what was it, like 150 years, you were getting all those crazy enhancements. Your gang enhancement 10 years, gun enhancement 10, 20, even life. You know, those years, man, actually affected a lot of inmates. How can you expect an inmate to go into prison with 150 years, man, for just say a shooting, right? 150 years, because they give them all kinds of different enhancements, right? And you expect this individual to follow all the rules. Here's 150 years. Now you're gonna go to a prison. Now you're gonna behave. You're gonna respect that Title 15, and that's what you're supposed to do for the rest of your life. Does not make sense. You're not giving inmates hope. You're not giving him the chance to actually at least trying to regain his freedom. You know, now that's what they have right now. They have what is that SB 261. So somebody can have 150 years, but guess what? After a certain amount of years, he can go to board and present his case and see if he qualifies, if he's ready to go to the streets. A lot of those individuals that I qualify on that We looked forward to that. You know, that's what helped us at least direct our behavior to a different route. You know, and trust me, man, if they would have said put that thing back then, I think a lot of things would have changed in CDCR. Not only that, when it comes to corruption within the institutions and stuff like that, that thing is way out, man. I remember people trying to put in 602s. They'll take out the 602s from that box who's supposed to have a lock, right? No COs can have the key of the lock, but sure enough, they used to stick things in there, take out the 602s, read it. If they didn't like it, throw it away, you know? And at that moment, you basically you feel helpless. You know, I'm like, man, like I'm trying to do everything to the right route and stuff like that, but now look what's going on. And then when it goes to the captain, right? The captain comes through and tells you, "Hey, man, you better don't push this because otherwise, you know, or else something's gonna happen." And it's like, fuck. It is insane how CDC is covering things. Uh, when it came to the integration, man, when they did that in 2017, I believe, right? 2017, no, 18, 2018 or 19, one of those years, like at the end of 2018 or 19. I think it was 2019. It was chaos. Nobody was trying to program with nobody. That thing was the worst idea the CDC could have. Why? And I'm telling you why. Because you're pushing this narrative to the inmates, right? Of, hey man, you know what? Do good, rehabilitate yourself, earn time after sentence and stuff like that. And everybody's loving it, right? Everybody's loving it, 100%. Of course, you're gonna have your individuals who are part of a faction who's gonna utilize those channels, right? Why? Because during group, you can go out with different buildings, so that's a good way to have a channel, you know. And honestly, a lot of people were doing that. You know, not everybody was taking advantage of those programs, but there were individuals, there were inmates who were taking advantage of those programs, man. And then push this whole thing of, oh, now I'm gonna integrate you guys. You had to program together, knowing what time was it, you know, and basically you're forcing the hands of individuals, right? Individuals who still believe, or I mean, who had that ideology, and we're not trying to let go of that ideology, man. You know, like, huh, what? That's against the rules, man. I cannot program with people like this, man. So now you're pushing the hand of this individual, right? Because he believes in something, he don't want to get let go of that, and now you are basically corner this individual to act on that, you know, and that's when riots were happening. That's when stabbings were happening, man, and it was chaotic. It was chaotic. I was in those places where this was happening, man. Every so often, once a bus came through, riot. Every time a bus came through was riot, you know. And it came to a point where now the individuals that were living in that yard were not even waiting for those inmates, the activists, to actually go to their building. They just take off on them right there and then, you know, because they didn't know what was gonna happen. So at the end of the day, it was more like a survival, you know. Like, hold on, I'm not gonna be a victim. Screw that. Now you pushing my hand, and a lot of people got hurt because of that. And that's one thing that I was like, I didn't agree with that. I did not agree with that because I seen the fear on everybody. You know, the actives, the non-actives, 100%. Don't just believe just because, oh, this guy's activo, he don't fear nobody. Nah, man. We talking about people coming from the streets, barely going into the system. They're scared. They're coming into prison. They're like, oh shit. There's people who've been in prison for years, big and stuff like that, you know. So they're scared. They're like, oh, like, do I supposed to do something? And then they have somebody, yeah, we're gonna do this, man. They're scared, you know. And people, I mean, CDCR was wrong for doing that. That's something I'm always gonna say, that it's a bad idea, and people are just catching life because of that. They're catching life. Yeah, we don't We don't hear about it on the CDCR website, but trust me, incidents are happening daily. When they try to mix those individuals, when they come from a reception, it happens daily, man. Simple as that, man. Simple as that. I guess nowadays they change it, right? Because now I guess they made a reception already of what they call 50-50. So people who go to a reception, basically they get off right here, and if they can't program right there, they'll send them to a different place. But those individuals that stay right there, those individuals gonna go to a 50-50, right? But I believe that the politics are so integrated, and I mean in prison, that CDCR, no matter what he does, you can't change that. Simple as that. You cannot get rid of the what they created, the SNY. You let that thing get too big, you know. And one thing that another thing that I do agree with this is about those guys who came out the shoe, right? Once they came out the shoe, they were led throughout CDCR, man, through different prisons. That was a big mistake. It's like you have a, with no disrespect, but it's like you have a disease right here, right? Oh, so now let's spread it throughout CDCR. That was like the dumbest move CDCR could have done. Like, come on, man. Come on. They just want to get out the shoe. They're not saying, oh, but I want to go over here. I want to go over there. No, man. You out the shoe, man. You can program on this yard. You're having regular yard. They could have been in a special yard. You know what I mean? Regular program. Go to yard. Go to day room. Use the phone. Go for visits. But they did a big mistake by spreading everybody, and then guess what? This guy lands three individuals with or five individuals with some heavy power landing in the yard. So guess what? Something's gonna be some conflict. My people against your people. Let's remove this individual because it's too much politics, man. Too much politics, man. You just keep everybody in a place, man. Like, come on. It's like when it happened with the COVID-19. The COVID-19. I was right there when the COVID-19 happened, man. How instead of, let's say you have A, B, C, and D yard, right? So you have an inmate who has COVID-19 on A yard, but D yard, it has a specific design building. So you're gonna transfer this individual who possibly already has his celly contagious, right? He already gave the COVID-19 to his celly, but because his celly didn't come out positive, you just left his celly right there, you know. You take this guy to the special unit where you live in the COVID-19 individual. You let his celly go out there to the program, go to the room, and guess what? Spread the disease, right? Instead of locking that building down and no movement for the whole 14 days, quarantine that building. No, they want to move people to different yards and basically spread the disease. Like, come on, man. Like, I really don't know who is actually in charge of this, because this individual who makes those decisions is nothing but a retard. Dispensa, but that's what I believe. You know, playing with the lives of inmates, it's not cool, man. It's not cool, man. I've seen people being pushed to those limits, and it sucks, man. It sucks because at one point we're talking about these lifers who have hope of going home, you know. And you know what? Just behave, do your program, attend those groups. Damn, you made it to a level 2, right? Now guess what? Now you have to get mixed up with individuals that possibly gonna take off from you, and guess what? Your hopes of ever going home vanish, because you're gonna act on that incident, right? Or unless you want to become a victim and maybe not live through it. So now you do that to a lifer. Guess what is gonna happen? Oh, you should take my chances. From this day on, it's on. It's on. I mean, the little chance that I have of going home, it was taken away because of CDCR, because they want us mix together and stuff like that. And now you're gonna have a dangerous individual that's gonna go out there and do his will, right? He just done fucked up his chance, right? So I do appreciate that interview, man, and I'm honestly on point, right? On point. I'm just gonna speak on things that I do agree with, and it's a good way to bring light to what's happening in CDCR. Whoever is running this is out of control. Like whoever had that brilliant idea of mixing everybody, man. Apparently you never been. I mean, you haven't worked in prison, or you just didn't care, and that is a reckless move from CDCR that is only affecting inmates. And once those inmates feel attacked by the program, by CDCR, they're gonna push back. They're like, oh, that's how they feel about us. Fuck them as well, right? Let's do them. So, with this being said, we're out to the next video. Muchas gracias. Saludos a todos. Take care. Al ratos.